Welcome back to Sounds Like Sam. This episode is presented to you by BullseyeFantasyFootball.com. Last episode, I shared 5 tips on how to prepare for your fantasy football draft. In today's episode, I will be telling you my favorite draft strategies when it comes to what rounds you should draft your quarterback, tight end, kicker, and defense. These strategies I will be going over today will be more helpful for people in 10 to 12 person leagues. If you need help in a 14 person league or bigger, I can help you develop a strategy for that too. Just contact me at Bullseye Fantasy on Twitter or at BullseyeFantasyFootball.com. Starting at the quarterback position, when should you draft your starting quarterback? This is a hot topic in fantasy football. Some people like to go really early in the first or second round of the draft and get a guy like Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Others like to draft their quarterback one late in the draft, around the 10th pick or higher, and target a quarterback like Cam Newton or Ryan Tannehill in this year's draft. My target area for a quarterback, however, has actually been more around the 4th or 5th round. I like drafting my quarterback one around this area because it not only allows me to pick 3 or 4 solid players beforehand, but drafting a quarterback here usually allows me to snag a projected top 4 quarterback as well. By doing this, I also allow myself the opportunity to fill up my starting roster and grab one of those late round vet quarterbacks just in case something happens to my QB1. Next up is when you should draft your starting tight end. Like the quarterback, the top 2 tight ends will be drafted likely in the first 3 rounds of your draft. Unlike the top quarterbacks, however, there is not much depth at the tight end position in terms of high-scoring fantasy football tight ends. This is honestly one of the toughest positions to find a quality starter for, and there isn't much left to pick through after the top 10 or even off the waiver wires during the year. This is why it is crucial you get a solid tight end during the draft. My favorite spot to grab a tight end would be in the 5th or 6th round, right after you draft your quarterback. Normally, I have a top 5 tight end I'm targeting at this spot, which at this spot would most likely be a guy like Darren Waller, TJ Hawkinson, or Robert Tonyan. But if for some reason I can't get one of my targeted guys, I will wait until all my other starting roster spots are filled to grab a tight end. That sounded weird. Grab a tight end. Anyways, if you aren't able to get a top 5 tight end in the 5th or 6th round, 3 tight ends I would look to target in later rounds like the 9th, 10th, 11th round or higher would be guys like Jonnu Smith, Rob Gronkowski, and Anthony Firkser. What rounds should I draft my kicker and defense in? If you play in a league where you must draft a defense and kicker, definitely look to draft these players late. When I say late, I mean really late, like the 12th round or above for both positions. As a personal preference, I like to draft better kickers before I draft better defenses. I like to target top kickers around the 12th or 13th round. This is because these guys can be consistent and high scorers for you. My top 3 guys currently are Younghoe Koo, Harrison Butker, and Justin Tucker. The reason I do this isn't just because I know I can get a consistent scoring kicker late. It's also because to me, there always seems to be a top 5 defense available on the waiver wire. Not only that, but changing out your defense each week based on what opponents they play by utilizing the waiver wire is one of the easiest and most effective strategies to use during the fantasy football season due to how defenses tend to be more of a crapshoot than any other positions because of how heavily this position relies on a team performance rather than just one player's performance. If you are in a league that requires you to pick one or more defensive players in place of or in addition to the defense, feel free to reach out and message me on Twitter at Bullseye Fantasy or to contact me through my website at BullseyeFantasyFootball.com. Well, that was the episode. I really appreciate you listening. Next episode, I will be debating which draft strategy I like more, going running back heavy or wide receiver heavy. So make sure you turn on your notifications for Sounds Like Sam wherever you get your podcasts and to check out BullseyeFantasyFootball.com. If you have any fantasy football related questions, as always, make sure you contact me at Bullseye Fantasy on Twitter. Thanks. Peace.